Here's everything I made recently as a homesteading mom who mostly cooks from scratch. I've been taking it easy recently, but here's everything that I make pretty much weekly. I mill a few pounds of flour. I've been experimenting with different types of wheat berries, using soft white and hard red, and I just grind that up with my KitchenAid attachment and then sift it to get the big chunks of bran out. Next is I make my own brown sugar. Brown sugar is just white sugar and molasses. You want to use a teaspoon of molasses per cup of sugar. Just mix until it's incorporated. And then I've started recently making chocolate syrup, and it is a big hit in my house. Use it for chocolate milk and coffee. And here is my fail at making marshmallows this week. I ended up getting really distracted, so I remade them into gummies. I used marshmallow root tea in this recipe, so we have the added benefits of that amazing herb. And while the gummies are good, I am slightly disappointed that I didn't end up with marshmallows, so I'll probably be making a batch of those really soon. And then I just made a batch of my go-to gingerbug soda and sourdough discard crackers with everything bagel seasoning. The gingerbug sodas are always a big hit whenever I share about them. Would y'all like to see a refresher video on how to make your own gingerbug and gingerbug sodas? Let me know in the comments. Here's everything that I made and preserved this week as a homesteading mom. I was a little all over the place, but I still got a lot done. I traded some apples for oranges and we got to enjoy some fresh orange juice. I also tried to make marmalade, but it turned out terribly. I didn't have a lot of time that day, so I tried to use the crock pot and it just burned and no good. But that's okay. I also got to can some orange slices up in some light syrup. Those will be great snacks. And then I got to work on all of these peaches. My favorite way to use peaches is to can them up in honey syrup. Then I have it for pies and whatever else I want, and it also is just so good on its own. I saved all of my peach scraps and I made some peach syrup. I also had a bag of strawberry tops in the freezer, so I threw those in and made a batch of strawberry top syrup as well. And then I got to work on canning up the last round of apples. I just canned these up with some juice and some simple syrup and called it a day. And of course, I saved all of the apple scraps and made several things out of it. First off, I made apple pie syrup, which is so good in coffee with some hazelnut creamer. This is now my go-to fall coffee. I also made apple scrap juice. You can use this juice to drink, make cider, or even jelly out of. It's a great versatile thing to have on the shelf. The last thing I used apple scraps for was to make apple scrap vinegar. I had some questions on that, and I will do a whole video on that very soon. Last but not least, I had the dehydrator running all week. This gave me 3 gallons of dried apple slices and a bit of dried oranges for mulled cider and simmer pots. Here's everything that I've been making and preserving this week as a homesteading mom. I'm still working through a ton of apples, so I have been making a lot of apple butter. Not only will we enjoy this by itself, but we'll also enjoy making pancakes, cookies, and things like that, and they can also be holiday gifts. Making crock-pot apple butter is so easy. If y'all want a recipe, let me know. I have made 12 pints and a couple quarts of apple butter so far. I'm also very excited about these Tatler lids. They're reusable canning lids. Sure, they're plastic, but they're BPA free. And then I finally got enough tomatoes to make my first batch of sauce for the year. I love doing the slow cooker method. I did a video on this earlier. It's super easy and makes such a flavorful sauce. I'll also save all this and make a tomato powder out of it. Next, I'm using up more apples. We had some leftover sausage from the last hog that was butchered back in February. So it's time to use it up so it doesn't get freezer burned. Making sausage is super messy, but it's pretty fun and I love the results. Once I taste test this sausage, I might make a recipe for y'all. The next thing I made will probably surprise some people, but I made corn cob jelly. That's another recipe I can make a whole nother video on if you're interested. I'm still working on this batch. I have to reset a couple jars, but if you're wondering what it tastes like honey. Let me know in the comments if you would try corn cob jelly.